Hi there, welcome to my allotment again. It is a glorious day. I'm filming this on the 27th of December and we had a storm overnight, but it's cleared beautifully and I'm taking the advantage of sorting out my Bokashi bins. So over the holiday period we generated a lot of kitchen scraps and they all go into my Bokashi bin system, and that ferments down the scraps into something that will make incredible compost to use, either in my pots or in my greenhouse or as a mulch on top of my beds. I made a few previous videos on how I use the Bokashi system. You can check them out in a playlist. I can put that in here. But basically you just mix your kitchen scraps, and that can include cooked waste, even bones, smaller bones, as well as vegetable peelings and the usual stuff. You mix that with a bran that contains a microflora that will ferment the kitchen scraps rather than let them decompose. And the difference there is that the decomposition destroys the nutrients that are left in those scraps. So by fermenting them instead, you then preserve those minerals and vitamins, and then when that bokashi is made into compost at the end of the process, it will then be contained within that compost. So that is become available then for any plants that you grow into it. So it's a better way of utilizing everything from your kitchen and leftovers from your plot. So what I'm going to do today is a little bit different. I usually bury my bokashi in my regular compost bin, but I've had a few visitors from what I think are rodents, and I don't want to encourage them by basically feeding them lots of gorgeous stuff on my plot. So that's the problem. This is why one of the reasons why you usually don't include cooked food in your compost bin, because it draws all sorts of stuff in. The other reason is because otherwise maggots appear, flies lay their eggs in cooked food, for example. But if it's fermented, this does not happen, so at least I haven't got maggots. But yes, so what I'm going to do today is make a soil factory. So I'm going to take you know what, I'll just show you. Right, so my plan for my soil factory is to use this old dustbin. It comes with a lid that I can weigh down and keep the rats out from the top. And it's got this hole in the bottom, so they could obviously dig in underneath, or a fox could. So I'm going to put this chicken wire, quite small, tight chicken wire underneath it, and I hope the weight of the whole thing will keep it down. So that should stop them coming in from the bottom. But importantly, it lets soil organisms like earthworms and other little critters get into the compost, and they will love it. So they basically are they are what will break down the bokashi further. So it'll take another 2 to 4 weeks. It'll probably take 4 weeks because we're in the middle of winter here now. But in the summer it could take as little as 2 weeks for the bokashi to do the final breakdown. So the first stage of bokashi is the fermentation, and then the second is the breakdown process. So we are now in the ugly part of my allotment, so I don't mind this being here. It won't have any smell whatsoever, so I'm not worried about that, but it just adds to the general ambiance of the place just to have another bin here. So I'm going to tidy this up a bit and make sure there's no sharp pointy bits for my toddler to get caught on. So this is the bokashi, and I have 3 of these. I started out with 2, but we ended up filling them up too quick. So they need 2 weeks with the lid closed. It's an anaerobic process, the fermentation, so you need to keep the lid closed for 2 weeks and don't let any air in, and that will let the fermentation take place. So the process will generate a beautiful liquid. You might wonder what this disgusting thing is, but basically this is dynamite. This is bokashi tea, and that's generated through the process, and they'll be liquid. That's why a lot of the bokashi bins come with a tap at the bottom. I'll see if there's any liquid in here now. There might not be. There's a little bit. So you want to empty that regularly. to keep the process going, ticking over in there. And neat you can actually use as a drain cleaner, so it works as a similar process as inside the Bokashi. Basically the microflora in this will outcompete all those smelly bacteria in your drains. So if you have smelly drains, you can give Bokashi a go, and then you can put it in neat, right? But for your plants, you need to dilute it. So I think it's a 1 in 100. You know, it's really strong, so it lasts you a long time. So if you're a Bokashi composter, you never need to buy liquid seaweed or tomato feed or anything like that ever again, which I noticed this year. It's amazing stuff. So I just keep it in old pet bottles or milk bottles or whatever. Very pretty. So what I'm going to do is just get my wheelbarrow, and I'm going to mix the Bokashi with, you can use spent soil, for example in pots. I could have used the stuff for my dahlias, for example. They were in pots and the compost was completely empty of nutrients. This would have reinvigorated that compost again. So what I'm gonna mix this with is molehill soil, because I have a mole problem on my allotment, and they create a lot of this gorgeous soil that they dig up, right? I have no real use for it. I don't want to put it straight onto my beds because it isn't compost, and it will not behave like my compost mulches. But if I mix it with the Bokashi, it will become a type of compost. I think that's a great use for it. So yeah, you can watch me do this. It's going to take a while. I've collected some of the molehills already, so I'll see how far I get with that.
Right, where's my dog? That's a shame. Right, great to say though. Passive, is it?
Right, so that's it. It's about halfway full, the bin, so I think I'll be able to fit in one more Bokashi bin in 2 weeks' time when that one's finished fermenting. So you might have seen I mixed in some leaves as well, because I found a pile that my neighbour had just left. You know, it's just worth gold, I think. I wish they told me and I could have put in my, you know, in my normal compost, but it works really well to mix in with Bokashi as well, so I've done that. The soil, you know, I'm on clay, so that soil that the moles have dug up is clay soil. So after all the rain last night, it was very, very wet and heavy. So I hope this works. It's the first time I've done it mixing with soil. It should work. The thing you can do with Bokashi, if you're a digger, if you dig your plot, which I don't, you could just dig a trench and put the Bokashi in and then put a layer of soil back over it. It's not an option for me, so this will work well as a substitute. Oh god, sorry, the sun is just the sun's a bit strong. But yeah, so it should take 2 to 4 weeks to break down fully, but because I'm putting another one on top, I won't be able to use this for a long wee while, but that's okay, it's winter, so I don't need it until spring for my greenhouse. So I hope you've enjoyed the visit to the dark side of my plot, where all the ugly and dirty business happens, but some of the most important stuff on the whole plot. I might show you my compost bins another time. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope you get out to your plot.